All right, this is a Chicago album review for 1969's Chicago Transit Authority, or I guess you could call it Chicago 1. Recorded January 27th through 30th, 1969, and released on April 28th, 1969. Produced by James William Guercio, the Beach Boys guy. And this album has 12 songs, 76 minutes, 33 seconds. On CD, that's good for a double album on vinyl, or I guess if you're buying new records these days, it's probably 4 albums, right? But now you can fit them all on one CD, which is I have this Rhino remaster set from 2002, and that's the one I've been enjoying and listening to it on. Now, the Chicago is 2 things. It's the rock band, which is Peter Cetera on bass and vocals, Terry Kath on guitar and vocals, Robert Lamb on keyboards and vocals, and Danny Seraphine on drums. And then there's the brass band part of the band. I mean, it's one band, but it's like 2. The brass band is Lee Lofgren, trumpet and some other stuff, James Pankow on trombone, and then Walter Paraziter on saxophone, tambourine, some other stuff. He sings too. And that's the band. And that's the original band, and that's the band for a whole bunch of albums, okay? The album cover, I love the colors. You've got this light blue and this yellow and red and a black trim, and you got a yellow, like almost like it's a picture frame. And that's pretty cool. And on the back, this is one of those cardboard deals that go into the box. On the back, you've got the names of the songs and the numbers of the tracks. And that's all it says. It says produced by James Guercio and 2002 Rhino Records. Okay. This is part jazz, part rock. ProgArchives.com, that's one of my favorites to go to. They say this is jazz rock fusion. Discogs says it's pop rock, jazz rock, and fusion. And Wikipedia says it's jazz rock, progressive rock. But whatever you want to call it, it's different. It's different from mainstream rock or pop. It's got a little pop flair to it. Not quite like 80s Chicago, but you can hear it a little bit. And for this album review, the music theory I did was help from musicnotes.com, which is a website, and they sell sheet music, and I like to go look at that because it helps me hear, the time signature, the tempo, some of the chords I get a little taste of. And one thing I'll preface before I get into the nitty gritty is I don't know if the keys are changing throughout each song. Probably, or maybe. It's a strong maybe. And if the time signatures are changing. There are a few instances that I detected, and I'll point them out when we go, all right? Okay, track 1 to Chicago Transit Authority is called Introduction. It's 6 minutes and 35 seconds, and it is authored by Terry Kath, lead guitarist. The key is it has 2 flats in the key signature, so that's B flat major key or G minor. Okay, probably the B flat major. And it's a moderately bright tempo in 4/4 time. And Introduction reminds me of the American version of Yes. Just from the very opening sound, it sounds like a bit of like Yes on Yes or Time in a Word. And also of distinct note is Terry Kath's voice is very striking. By the way, if I haven't talked about it before, I kind of see everything through the prism of Yes. I kind of like, okay. The verse for Introduction, he's singing, "Hey there, everybody, please don't rob or roam. We're a little nervous because we're so far from home." That's 8 bars. And the chorus, Terry sings, "So this is what we do, sit back and let us groove and let us work on you, yeah, mm-hmm." And that's 8 bars. And what I've noticed in just doing the listening and the analysis and the counting, a lot of these songs, they like, and it's not just Terry Kath, it's all the authors of Chicago, they like the 8 bars for the verse and the chorus. Not in every song, but in a lot of them. And I'm not sure if that's true in every album, but that's something I'm really going to be dialed in on future ones. The solos, there's a solo section in this song, Introductions. It starts at about 1 minute, 19 seconds, and It's a jam until about 5 minutes and 53 seconds for about 4 minutes and 34 seconds total. The first part of the jam, it go at 1:49 is when it starts, and it goes. Sorry, the jam starts at 1:19, and then at 1:49 it switches to a dot 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 dot, or 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3, kind of like that. 1 2 3 4 1. Okay, and then at 2:25 there's like I think it's a trombone solo. At least that's what it sounds like. And then at 3 minutes it segues into the trumpet solo, the da da dee da part. I think that's the trumpet. About the 4 minute mark, there's a guitar solo, which I would assume is Terry Kath, with some prominent keyboard in the background playing behind Terry. And then at about the 5 minute mark, the entire band is playing the same melody with the bass is going crazy. And then it ends at 5:53. The third verse starts, and that marks the end of the solos. Okay, so you've got, let's count it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts to that solo, where it just kind of cycles through, and it's very cool. The song structure for that song, including those solos, is the verse, chorus, verse, chorus. That's 6 parts of the solos that I just talked about, and then the verse and the chorus. And that's introduction, first track. A great start to the album, too. Track 2 is a Robert Lamb song called Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is, for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Or if you use the abbreviation, Darkwitty, DARKWTII. I think they used to play this song back in the day on WOZZ back in the early 90s. So I'm definitely very familiar with the song, and I've heard the song many times. Lead vocals by Robert Lamb. And of course, as I mentioned, he's the author to Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is? It's in the key of G major, according to musicnotes.com, and it's 116 beats per minute and 4/4 time. And it begins with a piano solo and runs till about 1 minute and 15 seconds, and then the big melody of the song starts. Okay, and then the verse kicks in. As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me, da, 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 da. That's 12 bars. That's one of the few exceptions on this album where it's not an 8-bar verse. And then the chorus is, does anybody really know what time it is? And in the background, you can hear the other guy singing, I don't care. And does anybody really care? That's what Robert Lamb is singing for 8 bars. And the song arrangement for this one is verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse. There's some background chatter, and then the chorus and the outro, and that's the song. Does anybody really know what time it is? Okay, track 3 is Beginnings, 7:58, 7 minutes and 58 seconds. It's also a Robert Lamb song, lead vocals by R. Lamb. It's in the key of A major and moderate tempo at 4/4 time. The verse is, when I'm with you, it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. I'm with you, that's all that matters. It's about 17 bars-ish. You can think about it as almost like two... well, I guess it depends on how you count at a moderate tempo, but 2 8 bars or 17 bars. The chorus is the part where he's just going, oh, 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 oh. Okay, for 16 bars. And then he says, mostly I'm silent, and then there's an interlude. This is a quick few bars, the interlude. And then the interlude segues into an instrumental. This is at the 4 minute, 6 second mark. And the instrumental is like the trombone is featured first, and then the trumpet, and then both, and then that part ends at 4 minutes and 6 seconds. So about a minute total for the instrumental. And the outro is, it starts with, what they're saying is only the beginning. They just repeat, only the beginning, only the beginning, only the beginning. And it's from 5 minutes and 6 seconds until the end of the song at 7:58. So about 2 minutes and 52 seconds of total outro. The last minute of the song is some percussion, and the guy's making weird grunting sounds. It's kind of funny. It's kind of cool, actually. And this song arrangement of beginnings is verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, interlude, and with an instrumental and an outro, and that's beginnings. Track 4 is questions 67 and 68. 5 minutes and 4 seconds, another Robert Lamb song, but this time lead vocals by Peter Cetera. His voice is much different from Robert Lamb and Terry Kath. I like all three. Cetera's, I don't know how to describe it other than to say Cetera is like the singer. He is like he's like the best singer of the three. Lamb is, I would describe as almost like, of the three, the crooner. I'm not saying he's a crooner, but of the three, he's the most like a crooner. And then Terry Kath he's their Ray Charles. He's got this gritty, it's a really tough sounding, cool voice. Terry Kath. But on this song, okay, let's get back to 67 and 68. Lead vocals by Peter Cetera, key of C major, slow rock ballad in 4/4 time. The verse is Peter singing, "Can this feeling that we have together, oh, suddenly exist between?" It's an 8-bar verse. And the chorus, "I'd like to know, can you tell me, but don't tell me." It's a very popular jingle. And it's 8 bars plus a couple of other bars to get you back into the verse. And then they repeat that a couple times. And the solo section of the song is 2 minutes and 28 seconds to 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Or about, if you're clocking it, 1 minute and 8 seconds total. It's all the brass playing with a big thumping bass line. And at the 2 minute and 50-second mark, the song switches to a faster tempo. It's kind of like they're shifting in the fifth gear. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's a cool solo. And the outro is, they're just, I think it's Peter Cetera just singing questions 67 and 68. That starts at the 4 minute and 25-second mark until the end of the song at 5:04. And it's a very rapid ending, like an abrupt, the song just drops. And question 67, 68 is a verse, chorus, the solos for 1 minute and 8 seconds, and then the verse, chorus, and an outro. And of course, all the verses are different from each other, but the choruses generally just repeat. That's question 67, 68. Okay, we're up to track 5 on Chicago Transit Authority. It's a song called Listen, 3 minutes and 22 seconds. Another Robert Lamb song, lead vocals by Robert Lamb, and starts with a sudden guitar note, and then the brass kicks in. And it's in the key of G major and moderate tempo 4/4 time. The verse is, "Listen, if you think that we're here for the money, you could be right." It's the verse is another 8-bar verse. And then there's this roaring guitar solo, which starts at 1 minute 34. It's like, woo. Terry Kath has a cool way of making the where sound. The where. And it's just a big guitar solo. I forgot to note the time. But this Listen is a very simple song structure. It's the verse, solo, and verse. And that's the whole song. It's a short, for these guys, that's a short song. If this were a Beatles record, that would be a long song at 3:22. Okay? Track 6 is Poem. Poem 58. 8 minutes and 37 seconds. Another Robert Lamb song. He's really doing a lot of the writing here. And lead vocals by Robert Lamb again. Song opens with some rhythm electric guitar, a very long intro with thumping bass, and some lead guitar soloing around the 1 minute mark. Like a really fast dot 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 dot, like that. And it's in the key of C major. At least I think it is, the first chord is an E minor. And the time signature was, the key had a C. There were no flats or sharps. It's a moderate tempo and 4/4 time. The intro is that jam. It's like a jam guitar solo. It doesn't seem to be much brass in the introduction section. Maybe mixed underneath the rest of the band, but it sounds like a guitar solo with the band playing. And the lead guitar is on top of the mix with the bass right next to it. like just slightly under it, but not, you know, the guitar is definitely in the lead. And at 450, it changes to dot dot dot, and the brass enters, and that's like 12 bars, moderate tempo. That I just said a lot for 12 bars. it's 12 bars. The verse is the way you walk. Excuse me. The way you talk, the things you've done make me wish I was the only one. And then after the verse, there's a second jam, which ends at 7 minutes and 43 seconds. It runs for a couple of minutes. It's another really long jam. So this track is, it's the intro, that long, that 12 bars at the beginning. It's not long, but it's like a jam. Then the verse, and then that really long 2 minute plus jam, and then one more verse. And that's the track. Poem 58. Track 7 is a song called Freeform Guitar, and that's exactly what it is. It's 6 minutes and 53 seconds, authored by Terry Kath. It sounds like a car, but I bet you he's making all of those noises with his guitar. Okay, around the 2 minute 30-second mark, sounds like some tapping for about 20 seconds, but really the entire thing sounds like he is driving a car. Or he's making car sounds, or maybe, I don't know, maybe he's going for a motorcycle, but is it key of A major? I don't know. The first chord is an A. It's an A5, like a power chord. You hear that, and then the last chord of the song is an A major, like the A with the third. But there's no time signature. This is unstructured, freeform, improv, jam. It's an instrumental on the guitar, and pretty impressive. I know from listening to Meatloaf songs that they that one song for Meatloaf, they made the guitar sound just like a car. So I think that's what Terry Kath is going for here. Okay, Terry Kath probably did it first. Track 8, South California Purples. Which is a cool name for a song. 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Another track by Robert Lamb, lead vocals by Robert Lamb. It's in the key of C major. Moderate tempo, 4/4 time. There are some time changes in the chorus and in the solo. So it's not cut and dry 4/4 time, but you can really feel the time changes in the chorus and in the solo. It's pretty abrupt. And it makes it difficult to count, but here's my best stab at it. The verse is when he sings "Cloudy every morning, sun don't ever shine." That's 8 bars, plus a couple of bars to return you to set up the chorus. The chorus is "Since I lost my baby, I've been losing my mind," and it's a short chorus of 4 bars, plus a couple of bars to get back to the verse. But it's like an 8-bar verse and a 4-bar chorus. But they stretch it they just stretch it a little at the end. There's a bridge section of this song, one of the few songs of the bridge. I am, he is, you are, me, and we are all together. Whoa, whoa. That is that's just taking from the Beatles, from John Lennon, from I Am the Walrus. It's, if you're not paying attention, you might miss it, but it's definitely the Beatles lyrics. That's quick. It's 4 bars. And there's a keyboard brass jam after the first chorus, and then it goes back to the second chorus for about 16 bars-ish. And then also in the song South California Purples, there is a guitar solo, which runs from 240 to 320-ish, about 12 bars or, less than a minute, about 40 seconds. It comes back for 16 more bars and ends at 4 minutes and 23 seconds. So about, total, that guitar solo is about 2 minutes and 40 seconds altogether when you include the beginning part of the guitar solo, the middle, and then it wraps around. Okay, so this song is pretty complex. It's got the verse, the chorus, the second verse, the chorus, the guitar solo, okay, and then the bridge, and then another a third verse, a chorus, and an outro. South California Purples. Track 9 is called I'm a Man. It's 7 minutes and 40 seconds. 7 minutes and 40 seconds. It's a Jimmy Miller, Steve Winwood song. Steve Winwood being a famous keyboard player. It starts with a big bass line and drums, and about 50 seconds in, you can hear the main melody being played by the keyboards. That and then the guitar joins after about 50 seconds. I'm going to read this is a quote from Genius. I'm a Man was originally sung by British rock band the Spencer Davis Group in 1967. Chicago changed some of the lyrics and instrumentation of the song to meet their version, with Chicago's version being considerably longer to the original version. And we'll talk about that in a minute. End quote from Genius. Terry Kath, Robert Lamb, and Peter Cetera rotate the singing in the 5 verses. And it goes in that order. So Terry, Robert, Peter. The first verse is Terry Kath. He's the Ray Charles of the band. Peter Cetera, he's the singer. He sings the second verse. The third verse is Robert Lamb. He's not a crooner, but he's the crooner for this band. I don't know how else to describe. A crooner is probably not the right word, but I dig Robert Lamb's vocals. Then the fourth verse is Cetera, and then Lamb. Okay, so I guess Kath just sings the first verse and not the fourth, but Kath, Cetera, Lamb. And they all sing the choruses, all 3 of them. Okay, it's in the key of E flat, or I guess it could be C minor. There are 3 flats in the key signature. The first chord is a C minor, so it could be C minor. It's hard to tell without looking at it, like the whole. It's a moderately bright rock in 4/4 time. The verse is the first verse. Terry Kath sings, "Well, my daddy said I'm messing about the whiskers on my chin. Never had no problems because I've always paid the rent." I mean, it sounds awesome when Terry Kath sings it. It's an 8-bar verse in this song. And the chorus, like I said, is all 3 of them singing. I'm a man, yes I am, and I can't help but love you. It's 8 bars. By the way, the other members of the band sing too, so it could be really all of them are singing. Lee Lofnan, he gets credited for backing vocals, as does Walter, the saxophone player. So it might very well be all of them singing I'm a Man in the chorus. And it probably is. There's a big instrumental bridge. It lasts from 3 minutes and 9 seconds to 5:50, which is about 2 minutes and 41 seconds runtime. There's a heavy percussion performance with a lot of shakers and big drums. And I saw a live version of this. It's really cool. And around the 5 minute 40-second part, it picks back up to get ready for the next verse. Okay. And then the last verse starts at 5:50. So to stretch this song out to over almost 8 minutes long, they did a first verse, chorus, second verse, chorus, third verse, chorus, that long, almost 3 minute long bridge, and then the fourth verse, the chorus, the fifth verse, the chorus, and then an outro. And it's a big, like I saw Chicago this year in concert. It's one of their enders before the encore. It was one of their show enders. Track 10 is called Prologue. It's 8 minutes. It's 59. Rewind. Start over. Prologue it's called Prologue, August 29th, 1968. 57 seconds long. It's credited to James William Guercio, who's the producer, and also Robert Lamb and James Pankow. I don't know if they put this together, but this song and its title refer to the Democratic National Convention of 1968, which is notorious for being extremely violent. The summer of '68 was violent, as Mayor Daley gave the Chicago police virtual free range to do what they saw necessary in order to stop rioters. And the beginning, it's not really a song, but it's more like it's the guy saying, "If we're going to jail, man, let's go. All we'll do is move forward, and if they lock us up, we knock it off. And God give us the blood to keep going. Let's go." And then the demonstrators are saying, "Let's go," and then the police are saying, "Get out of here." And then the demonstrators start chanting, the whole world's watching, the whole world's watching. And that chant goes into the next song, which is called Someday. Track 11 is Someday, August 29th, 1968. It's 4 minutes and 13 seconds by Robert Lamb and James Pankow. Lead vocals by Robert Lamb in the verse, and Peter Cetera sings the chorus. Okay, so they're splitting duties on this. And it's in the key of C major, bright, moderately bright tempo, and 4/4 time. And like I said, this song starts by continuing the whole world's watching chant with what sounds like a snare drum beat in the background, and then the big brass kicks in. And it's powerful when it kicks in. And the verse is, "Would you look around now and tell me what you see? Faces full of hate and fear. Faces full of me." 8-bar verse. And then the chorus is, "Someday you see how long we've waited for the time to show you how we've died, to get together with you all." That's an 8-bar chorus that Peter Cetera sings. And then there's an interlude of demonstrators. "The world is watching," is what they're saying. Again, it's a chant. And then that goes from about 30 seconds, a minute 50 to 2:20 of that chant. And then back to the chorus. So this song is the verse, chorus, interlude with the demonstrators, and then the verse, chorus. It's more of like your hippie social justice type song from the late 60s. Important time in America, right? Okay. Track 12 is the final track. It's called Liberation. 15 minutes and 41 seconds. It's an epic. And it's written by James Pankow. He gets the sole credit for the song. And it's pretty much an instrumental. There's some talking in it, but I was trying to figure out how to break this down. And one moment. And, by the way, Liberation's the best track on the album. Okay, so it's not just an epic, and it's not just an instrumental. It's at least my favorite track on the album. And I broke it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 6 parts, okay? There's the introduction part, which starts at the beginning. And it sounds like the entire band jamming, and there's some frantic guitar playing by Terry Kath. Okay. And then at 3 minutes and 30 seconds, it starts to change. It's still the guitar in the lead, but the beat has altered just slightly, and they seem to be changing time signatures on each other. It's in a very jazz improv way. This is around the 4-minute mark. It gets really chaotic in the way that a King Crimson song gets chaotic. Okay. Just everyone's playing their own thing in different time. And then at 7 minutes and 49 seconds, it goes really bluesy. Sort of like, now this might not be a perfect comparison. And I realize that I'm like speeding ahead in time, but it sort of reminds me of Adam Hartmother, Funky Dung. That's the bluesy part of Adam Hartmother. It's my favorite part of Adam Hartmother. For this part, this is the third part of Liberation, what I'm calling the third part. I mean, it might be broken into different parts by different people, but this is just how I think of it. It's more blues than jazz, but it's still jazz, but it has a real bluesy feel, in the same way Funky Dung does. Okay, does that make sense? At 9 minutes and 36 seconds, it changes again, and it's back to more car driving, like just like in track 7, freeform guitar, but the brass section joins in along for the party. And this goes on for a couple minutes. It's really cool. At 11 minutes and 25 seconds, this soft beat, it changes. There's a soft beat, light guitar, light bass, real light brass, and it's a real bright, cheery section. And it builds slowly, and it builds from 11 minutes 25 seconds until about 14 minutes and 5 seconds ish mark. That's the big ending of the song with drums and brass, and then it goes like that all the way till the end. And that's Liberation. That's the best I can do with it, without doing all the whistling and the humming and the dot dot dot. No, Liberation is it's my favorite song on the album. I would even dare to say it's the best song on the album. Okay. Chicago Transit Authority, Liberation. I like it when they put the best song last. I like when all bands do that. Liberation is in the key of B flat major. It's got 2 flats in the time signature, and it's fairly bright. And, I'm sure the keys are changing in all these sections, especially in the bluesy section. I don't know. I didn't get to review every sheet or every page over, 15 minutes. But it's a fairly bright tempo for the most part, and it's I'll say my favorite track. The intro, they say 11, here we go, belch, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the outro is, whoa, thank you people, and that's the song. Okay. All right, in summary, Chicago Transit Authority. Progarchives.com gives it a 4.08. That's a pretty high score. Allmusic.com gives it 4 stars. Also, Chicago Transit Authority is the only Chicago album listed in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. I got that from Wikipedia. That's pretty amazing. And bestsellingalbums.com has it listed, sold 2.1 million copies. That's a lot. I mean, it's not huge like Shania Twain or something like that, but it is 2 million is a lot of sales. I mean, just do the math on dollars, right? 2.1 million is good for 7th all time for Chicago, for all time Chicago albums. Its rank in 1969 it ranks 10th. And in the 60s, it ranks 42 overall. So it sold a ton. The overall rank is 223.74. That's pretty darn good. The singles from the album, there's a bunch of them. Of course, it's the ones you've heard before. Questions 67 and 68. I'm a Man was released in July of 69. I'm a Man was released again in January of 70. And Beginnings was released in October of 1969. And Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is was released in October 1970. So they, a lot of singles. I'm sure they did really well from this album. Especially Robert Lamb, who's got a lot of writing credits. I don't know the details of their contracts, but he must have done pretty good. I'm sure all of them did. Okay, that closes the book on Chicago Transit Authority. Cool album. Cool album cover. I should have looked. I think it's the album cover colors are inspired by the Chicago Transit Authority. If you don't know, they were basically forced to change their name to Chicago. So it's not just the name of the album, it's the name of the band, but they had to drop the corporate threats. It is what it is. Okay, that's the end. Next on the channel, the Beatles Revolver. I should have that ready early next week. I'll see you then. Thanks for listening.